Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to call the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners regular meeting for April 23rd, 2019 to order. I'd like to welcome everybody today. We'll begin our meeting by asking Pastor Ted Stackpole, a U.S. missionary, to come forward to deliver our invocation, and Commissioner Turner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Would you bow your heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, our thoughts this month are on the prevention of child abuse. We pray this morning specifically for children in Putnam County that are victims of abuse. Lord, there's a child today who's going to face physical, sexual, or verbal abuse. Lord, would you expose the abuse and rescue this child? I pray today for those that work in our county to protect these children, those in law enforcement, educators, social workers, and all mandatory reporters. Give them wisdom in dealing with these broken children and their families. I pray for these children to find safe, stable families to care for them while they go through the healing process. Lord, I believe in the leadership that you've called to oversee Putnam County. I ask today for added wisdom and passion for their call and practice in leading our county forward. Bless this board and everyone who is involved in today's meeting with wisdom, unity, and success in their work together. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Stackpole, for our invocation, and Commissioner Turner for the pledge. Commissioners, on our agenda, we have number 2, approval of the minutes of the revised January 15th, 2019 Board of County Commissioners Workshop, February 12th, 2019 Board of County Commissioners Workshop meeting.
Move approval, Mr. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and I believe a second by Commissioner Rawls. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Recognitions, a special recognition. So I'll ask Gator DeLoach to come up, and we have a proclamation recognizing the retirement of crossing guard Miss Flo Garris. And so I can have Sheriff DeLoach come up, and I've asked Commissioner Turner to read this proclamation.
So, commissioners and everyone in the audience, seated with us today is Ms. Flo Garris, a long-serving school crossing guard who has dedicated the last 27 years of her life to ensuring that the students of Putnam County get to school safely. Not only that, but Flo has been a pillar of this community. For those of you who don't know her personally or haven't had the pleasure of meeting her, she actually worked for 40 years as a machine operator at Georgia Pacific. Before retiring, got bored and decided to fulfill a career in public service and did an amazing 27 years with us. I originally became acquainted with Flo in 2012 when I was whenever I was appointed as the Assistant Director of our Administrative Services, which oversaw the School Crossing Guard Unit, and it has been my pleasure to call her a friend ever since. So Ms. Flo, if you would be kind enough with you and your family to join us up at the podium.
That's sweet.
She need a chair. Gator, does she need a chair?
Would you like a chair?
Okay.
I think she'll be just fine. Now, I made it very clear during Ms. Flo's retirement party that we had over at Mosley Elementary that we were merely placing her in an inactive status because knowing her as well as I do, it's a foregone conclusion that when her health will allow it, she's going to be beating on the doors wanting to come back.
It's my pleasure to be able to offer this proclamation today, honoring the retirement of Flora Garris. Whereas it is with great honor that Putnam County Board of County Commissioners recognizes the retirement of crossing guard Flora Garris at the age of 97 for her long and distinguished 27-year career with Putnam County Sheriff's Office. And whereas Miss Garris was born in Brooksville, Pennsylvania, one of 16 children moving to Palaca in March of 1957. She married Tom Garris on December 24th, 1940, and the pair raised two daughters, Janet and Donna. They were blessed with 49 years of marriage at the time of Tom's passing in 1990. They also shared 6 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. And whereas Miss Garris began her career with the Putnam County Sheriff's Office in October of 1992, having retired from Hudson Pulp and Paper after 28 years as a machine operator, and had since become one of the most beloved school crossing guards and most trusted figures in the department. And whereas Miss Garris has gone above and beyond to protect students as evidenced by the Life-Saving Award, which was presented to her by the Putnam County Sheriff after she prevented a car from striking a child. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners that genuine and sincere gratitude is hereby expressed for the professional, loyal, and selfless efforts of Crossing Guard Flo Garris during her tenure of service. Be it further proclaimed that Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019 is hereby recognized as Flo Garris Day in Putnam County, and all citizens are called upon to congratulate Miss Garris on a well-deserved retirement and show appreciation for the contributions Miss Garris and all school crossing guards in our community who assist in helping our children arrive safely to and from school make throughout the school year. Done, order, and proclaim this 23rd day of April 2019. Mr. Chairman, I move this proclamation.
Second.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Turner, and proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Wow, a standing ovation.
You want to get our picture taken?
Ms. Flo, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Ms. Garris, will you walk the sheriff up here?
She might know.
We're gonna get our picture taken. With such a celebrity, okay?
Yeah.
You in? Good deal. Y'all wanna be in?
The family also.
Yeah, y'all come on in.
I've got 5 cameras.
You're fine. You're fine. Over to.
Hang on, I got 2 more. All right, you might have to help me with this one, whoever I lost.
There we go. And then we'll back up.
Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah, I have one thing to say is, have all the years of road crossing, and all the other guards, we've never had shot hurt. They've all been safe. Yeah? Yeah, I knew him.
Okay, good, good.
I'm sure he does officially from
Gone, dead and gone.
Did you understand that? They made a day. Flo Garris Day. Every year.
Every day off.
That's sweet.
You seconded it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff, and this is like Larry Harvey said, this is a fun part of our job.
That's
We
right.
recognize people that have done so much for our community for so many years. So, okay, next on recognitions, I'd like to call Miss Lori Parker. Miss Lori Parker up, Head of Human Resources, for a recognition for Mr. Richard Williams.
Richard, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're doing a retirement recognition for Richard Williams. He's retiring May 1st, and we're going to present him with a retirement plaque. It states it's presented to Richard Williams for over 6 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Putnam County, presented April 23rd, 2019. As you know, he's the Veteran Service Officer for the county, and it's a two-person department, so you can imagine. You want to tell them a little bit about your stats? Because you do a lot.
We handle all claims for the widows, orphans, those veterans who have disabilities, and those veterans who are homebound. We have to go out and visit them, handle their claims, and we've accomplished that with over $20 million of benefits coming into the county.
Wow. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add just a little bit to that. I think Richard is being a little modest here this morning. Richard is a lifetime member, I believe it is, of the VFW. $22 million in benefits to our service veterans here in Putnam County. 13,000 veterans here in Putnam County, and when they couldn't make it to the office, Richard went to them and visited them and offered assistance. This is going to be a large pair of shoes to fill, Richard. As a county administrator, I was very proud to work with you for the last year and a half. Was very blessed to get to know someone of your stature and your character. And as a son of a 100% disabled veteran, I appreciate very much what you do for our citizens. You will be missed, and I just think it's important that not only the commissioners but our citizens of Putnam County realize the role that you played here in Putnam County. And thank you very much for your service here.
Move over to the middle. Right here.
Thank you, sir. All right, slide in. Slide in.
With you at the center.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, Richard.
Lori.
Okay, next on our agenda, still with presentations, I'd like to call Miss Mary Garcia up and some of her staff for recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And we have a proclamation that Commissioner Harvey is going to read. And I'm going to step up to the podium in just a second.
Don't do it alone.
And I will just take a point of personal preference, is the strapping young man that just walked up. If he looks a little bit like me, or I look a little bit like him, that is our youngest son, Hal and I's youngest son, Bobby. And Bobby is the new domestic violence prosecutor for Putnam County, and we are so glad that he is back in our county.
Mr. Chairman, fellow board members, Putnam County Proclamation number 2019-29, recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in our community. And whereas the theme of this year's Sexual Assault Awareness Month campaign is The Faces of Sexual Assault, illustrating the mask that survivors wear through the process of victimization to survivor. And whereas the faces of sexual violence are our friends, our family, our neighbors, our co-workers, this campaign challenges us to assess our own role in providing a culture of respect, equality, and understanding to those who are in that process. And whereas this campaign calls for the prevention of sexual violence by believing survivors, challenging victim blaming, refuting myths about rape, teaching healthy boundaries, and respecting the boundaries of others. Whereas working together, we can raise awareness, support survivors, and ensure the next generation fosters attitudes that promote healthy relationships, equality, and respect. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Putnam County Board of Commissioners, hereby declares the month of April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Putnam County, and calls upon all citizens, community agencies, civic organizations, faith groups, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to educate the community, thereby preventing sexual assaults and strengthening the community in which we live. This proclamation, this 23rd day of April 2019. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of this proclamation.
I second it.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Proclamation passes. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Just a few things before I love to get you all, because I know you tease me about being the short one in the front, so. Our violence intervention team is a one and only violence intervention program at a health department across the state of Florida, so I'm very proud of my team. Last year, we served 488 survivors. Of those, 190 were victims of sexual abuse, adult sexual assault, adult survivors of child molestation, or child sexual abuse survivors. Of these 190 victims, 23% of them were children under the age of 18. Our program is dedicated to the survivors of sexual abuse, and we work diligently in their healing process. And needless to say, we have an incredible group of community partners who support the work that we do every day, and we try to support them and all the work that they do every day. It's a team effort. And the journey from a victim to survivor is tenuous. And without the support of the community and your support, the journey for each of these survivors would be very difficult. So we thank you for your support every year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not to put you on the spot, but could you introduce everybody? Do you think you could do that? And just want to thank for everybody's participation in this, because it's just a terrible.
I'm going to do the leadership of each of the teams. So I'm going to let Joanne introduce the team for the violence intervention team at our health department. It's our program leader, Joanne O'Neill.
Hi, everybody. And so this is Gloria Howell, one of our advocates, and Pam Hope, our child therapist, and Terry Flagg, another one of our advocates. And I'm going to ask Lori Slavin, the executive director of the Lee Conley House, to come and introduce her wonderful staff.
Good morning, everyone. My staff starts way back here. This is Tangi, and she is our court advocate. Keisha, she is our program director. Karina, who is our child CPI advocate. Keontae, who is our shelter director. Kate, who is our outreach for South and West Putnam. Danielle, who is our official child advocate. Dana, who is our empowerment, justice, what is it? Economic empowerment advocate. And we are so happy to work with Joanne and her staff. They are such great people. Mary is an awesome leader to them, and we just are thrilled to be here to support them.
Yeah.
You want to introduce, you want to do this
Up to the.
Kenny Janess with the State Attorney's Office. I have the pleasure of managing specifically the Putnam office. With me is Janet Youngs, and I'm going to go with Bobby Pickens because we have a Robert Pickens as well. But Janet's our victim advocate. She's one of our victim advocates. Obviously puts in the most time with the victim. She's really she's that gap between the attorneys in the court and then the actual victims and civilians. And then Bobby specifically is tasked with all our domestic violence. So whether it be a misdemeanor or a felony, child or adult, if it has a domestic component to it, Bobby specifically will be the one that takes on that challenge and brings us more success in domestic violence prosecution.
Good.
I'm Kim Goad. I'm one of the advocates with the Sheriff's Office. My partner, Kim Daly, is unable to make it today, but there are two of us. So if you call for one, you'll get either one of us. Yep.
Good deal.
I was going to say, can we get a picture with
Yes,
all you very
we'll get
handsome?
a picture, and thank you so much for everything y'all do.
That's right.
We do have a child advocacy center opening today. It's right across from the courthouse. So if you'd like to come, they've got children have done some artwork. And then tomorrow, we celebrate Gene Day. It's National Gene Day across the United States. Actually, it's a national day. And I think I've told you a little bit about it last year. Jean and teal, if you will wear it and take pictures and send them to us. But it is a way that you can show silent support by wearing jeans to support victims of sexual assault and remind us that this is not acceptable. And that you show support and that the victims can actually come and speak to any of us that are supporting them by wearing jeans tomorrow. And we had to actually a dispensation from the state for us to wear jeans at our health department, so we can do that as well. So we appreciate your support, and I know you've supported us every year on that effort for the last 5 years that I've been doing it, so we appreciate it.
Hey,
All right.
Mary, do you think we could get Jeans Day next year on a commission day?
It's always on a Wednesday. You can change the date. Actually, we could probably do that as a special request. Could I do that to you? You'd have to approve it, though. All right, I know this is a very small team, so. I've got
We're going to
some
stay up
pictures.
here.
We're gonna stay up here and then y'all can line up down there. Everybody come up. Don't be bashful.
Are we all in? Yeah.
I think so.
Thank you. Russ, did you want to get in? No. We can become more friendly. Good deal.
Oh, there, yeah.
I don't blame you. It has its benefits.
My fellow commissioners and my son,
That tall guy in the back, would you please?
let's move him out.
Shine your head in front.
Too much. All right, 1, 2, 3, cheese. All right.
Good deal. Shake it this morning.
I did too.
Going down there.
Mr. Chairman, before we leave presentations, would you like for me to go ahead and introduce and present two new people now, or would you like to do it at the end?
Yes, no, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay. If I could have Mr. Jay Tilton and Ms. Laura Parsons, please join me at the podium, please.
That where they get to talk.
Did he tell you to prepare a 5-minute speech?
We're going to see how they think on their feet here this morning.
On if global warming's really.
Mr. Chairman, Board of County Commissioners, staff, and citizens and folks in the audience, I'd like to take the opportunity this morning to introduce 2 new members of the Putnam County family. We have Miss Laura Parsons, who was started yesterday. She is the new executive assistant to myself and Mr. Matt Reynolds, the Deputy County Administrator. Laura comes to us from the St. Johns River State College and brings a wealth of knowledge and skill sets that is going to be very beneficial to me. First thing she said when she walked in my office yesterday was, "Need a little organization, do you?" And so I was proud to, when I came back from a meeting late yesterday, I was proud to see she was still here. So Laura, welcome to the family.
Don't mind.
And Mr. Jay Tilden. Jay is our new solid waste director. Comes to us via South Carolina, where he spent many years up there working in his profession of landfills. I think we have been very fortunate to get 2 folks of this caliber here in Putnam County. And the one thing I'd like to point out to everybody is that they're both Putnam Countyans, both born and raised here, educated here, raising families here. And so Laura was already local here, but we brought Jay back home.
That's right.
We're very fortunate to have you both and looking forward to long extinguished careers and what you bring back to Putnam County and our family. So thank you and welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Distinguished, not extinguished.
Yes.
Thank you, Administrator Suggs. And really looking forward to working with both of them and what they can add to our county staff. Next, we have an addendum. It's 4B. I'd like to call Mr. Ken Monahan up from the Florida Association of Counties Trusts with a presentation this morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for taking a few minutes this morning. I'm Ken Monning with the Florida Association of Counties Trust. And as you know, we provide the general liability, public officials, and employment practices coverage for the county. A little bit of history with the program. The program started in 1989. It's a risk-sharing pool that allows counties to pool their funds to pay claims. And Putnam County has been a member of our program since 1989. So it's been a long history and successful history with the FACT program and the county. We're an enterprise program for the Florida Association of Counties, and the Florida Association of Counties is also the administrator for the program. We're also the largest contributor, corporate contributor for the Small County Coalition. So not only making the program successful by being a membership of the program, you're also supporting other small counties through FAC and the Small County Coalition. So it's really a big benefit for all counties that are membership of the program. We're constantly looking at changing coverages, increasing our risk management services through our board that's made up of commissioners and administrators from our member counties, and currently Commissioner Harvey is on our board as the representative for the FACT program. But we appreciate you being a part of the program for the past 30 years, and the board wanted to recognize all of our member counties by presenting a plaque just telling you thank you for being a part, supporting our program, help making it successful for the past 30 years. And I also would like to get a picture of you with it, the plaque as well. But it just says, presented Putnam County with our deepest appreciation for your membership and support for the past 30 years. So we really appreciated being a part of it, but I have a plaque also for you to present.
Thank you.
You got a camera?
Yeah, good to see you. Mr. Chairman, you want to hold this?
Can we go a mile?
You're fine. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Make a correction.
See you soon. You don't have to leave that there.
Yes, you called that, didn't you? I did. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to correct a football. We said we're going to see how our new staff members could, perform this morning without having any notice, but it appears that the county administrator needed a little practice this morning. I certainly didn't mean to misspeak, and we don't want to extinguish anyone's career here in Putnam County, but what I was looking forward to is a distinguished career from both of you this morning. So my apologies for the slip there, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that correction. Okay, we'll move on to 5, public hearings. I asked Mr. Scott Monisett to come up with Summit Professional Services for the second public hearing for the FFY 2018-2019 Community Development Block Grant.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. I'm Scott Monisett with Summit Professional Services. This is the second public hearing held to consider whether Putnam County shall proceed with the submission of a Community Development Block Grant for housing rehabilitation. The first public hearing was held on April 9th. The second public hearing is held to present a draft of the grant application to the Commission, and I'll be asking that a motion be made to submit the application to DEO, and also a motion is in your packet to commit SHIP funds to match with the CDBG grant funding. A resolution has been provided authorizing the chairman to sign the application. The CDBG program is a federal program. It originates at HUD. The state receives around $30 million each year to allocate through a competitive grant process, which the state conducts annually. Communities such as Putnam County submit a grant application to the state. It's mathematically scored against other communities that have submitted, and if the application scores high enough, you receive funding for various activities. The primary purpose is to benefit low and moderate income individuals within the county. Funds may also be used for urgent community development need and also to prevent or eliminate slum or blight. For this program, we will be looking at assisting low and moderate income homeowners. At a minimum, 11 homes will be assisted with the funds. Of these, 4 will be low income, and 2 homes will be extremely low income, meaning that they are below 30% of the median household income for the county. In some cases, if a home needs sufficient repairs that it exceeds the cost of the home, the program will actually demolish the home and build a new home on site for the homeowner. This is limited to owner-occupied homes, so rental properties are not eligible. It is only for people living within the unincorporated area of the county, and they must be low to moderate income homeowners. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them this morning.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Monisett?
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, Commissioner Rollins?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you identified these 6 that you just described?
The 11? No, sir.
You said there was 4 and 2.
Well, there's a total of 11 that will be assisting. Of those 11, 4 will be very low income, and 2 will be extremely low income. Those homeowners are identified through an application process where the homeowner submits an application to the county. There's a set deadline. We'll have a workshop with homeowners to explain the process to them, and we have to review all of their information. We have to ensure that they have no non-structural code violations on the property. They're up to date on their utility payments, taxes, and we also have to verify their income. If they claim a handicap or disability, typically these programs assist senior citizens with the disability. We need a certification from their doctor for that.
Right, and
to establish.
Your administrative costs are about 15% of the total.
Yes,
to
sir.
me, that seems a bit high, but is there a reason for that?
That's the standard. CDBG allocates 15% for housing rehabilitation to go to administration of the grant.
Okay.
You'll conduct, if you're awarded the grant, you'll conduct a proposal process, a request for proposals, where a fee will be a factor that you consider when firms submit for administration services.
Are the administrative services included in field evaluations of each of the residences?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've got about between $55,000 and $60,000 left over if you were to get 11 in there. You'd said that you wanted a match with SHIP funds. Does that mean that you would be looking at up to $120,000 per household for repairs?
No. We are keeping a minimum of $65,000 per household is the maximum that we would seek for individual houses. If we have houses that are less than that amount, let's say we have a few that are 10,000, we would do additional homes with the funding.
Well, no, the question goes to the SHIP funds. How do they correlate to this? You said that you were looking for a match with the SHIP funds.
You get 50, if you put $50,000 into the application from your SHIP allocation, you get 25 points in your application. It's reflected that way.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing in here about that proposed. So what are you looking for exactly from the SHIP program?
$50,000 is typically
Okay.
what the county allocates.
And that gives us a maximum of 25 points?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's used in conjunction with the CDBG program as the program is implemented.
Can you give us some examples of housing, like, where you're tossing around a $60,000 to $65,000 figure per household for repairs? And in my world, that's about 2/3 of what it would cost to build a 1,200 square foot heated and cooled home, brand new. What's the tipping point where you call no joy and demolish the house and build something brand new versus throwing money at housing that still won't perform? If you don't change out the roof, windows, doors, siding, and make it more efficient, what is the ultimate accomplishment here?
Typically, we're required to do all code violations and all health and safety issues. So it would be everything in the house has to be up to code. Generally, that depends on the individual unit of the house, whether we would have to demolish it or replace it. The tipping point is a difficult balancing act to determine, to make sure that we meet the minimum number of homes that are committed through the grant application process. So we select homes as they're ranked to ensure that you meet your minimum number of homes that are required while still staying below the 65,000 per household.
And do you have any examples from, let's say, the last time this was done in Putnam County? Can you
I can give you a list of those. I don't have those this morning, but I think we've done over 100 homes in the county.
In what period of time?
Over the last 10 years.
If you could maybe get me the last 2 years, I'd just like to see what it is that this is going towards. I think at the end of the day, the goal, there seems to be a tremendous amount of help for low to moderate and very low income, and yet the folks in the middle, including our employees that work for the county, don't have the opportunity to own a home or modify their homes. So and just for conversational purposes, what is the definition of, I know you had it in your last packet, very low, low, and moderate? Was it 70%, 80% of the median?
It's 80% of the median household income. The median family income for Putnam County is $42,900.
Median family, correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because it was reported in the Black Day News that the average income is $42,000, and I knew that was absolutely incorrect. But so the median family is
$42,900, and then there's it's adjusted based upon the number of individuals within the home.
Okay.
For a home with 4 people in the home, if the house was below $41,700, it would be low to moderate income. A household of 1 would be $29,200.
Any idea what percentage of our total housing inventory meets that definition of low to moderate?
No, sir. I could find that out for you.
That would be an interesting number to see.
Yes, sir. You have pockets. There's areas which are more densely low to moderate income that we've identified when we were looking at the neighborhood revitalization category grants, and also through your I forget what it was called, the Save Our Homes initiative.
NSP?
Yes, sir. The NSP program.
But even that, in my experience with NSP, was we take a house that was built in 2007, finished in 2008, occupied in 9, defaulted in 11. So you only had 2 years of use in the house, and the Guardian program ran the NSP. And we were the recipient of several of these jobs. We were asked to go and remove windows, doors, air conditioning, ductwork, insulation, and roof shingles on a house that was, for all intents and purposes, brand new. Paint and carpeting was all it really needed, but we took all that out, put everything brand new in for absolutely zero reason, just to spend money so we could justify the existence of that. And I just want to make sure that this isn't another one of those boondoggles where we do have families that do have real serious needs to get into stable, sustainable, not affordable housing, but good quality housing that would have a reduced overhead for them in the way of electric and gas bills.
Okay, and I can assure you that we make every effort to provide a quality product for the homeowners.
I don't disagree. I'm just telling you from what I've seen in the past. So that's why I'm asking for the last 2 years, so I can go and take a look at these houses, and maybe we can have a more meaningful conversation. And next time we apply for this, maybe we come in and say, look, last year we did this, this, and this. Maybe do this at a workshop with a slideshow presentation.
Okay.
And show what the impacts were. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying with a little bit of information that I get as a commissioner, it's very difficult for me to say this is going to be something great for the community, or it's just going to be another boondoggle. But
I understand. I'd enjoy doing that, actually.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. This is a public hearing. Are there any? I'll open up the public comment portion of this meeting. Any persons wishing to speak for or against this, please come forward. Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
What's
like
the
to make a
pleasure of
motion.
the board. Okay.
Motion to submit the fiscal year 2018 housing rehabilitation small cities community development block grant application to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to move that the commission, the Board of County Commissioners, commit to spend $50,000 in SHIP funds on the CDBG eligible activities identified in the 2018 CDBG housing application as local government leverage in accordance with the applicable rules and guidelines set forth the Department of Economic Opportunity.
Second.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
Scott, thank you so much for what you do for us. Okay?
Hopefully, I'll be back soon with good news on the grant.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, next, under public hearings, item B, proposed ordinance amending ordinance 2004-15, providing for an increase in the surcharge on non-criminal traffic infractions or certain criminal violations to be added to the traffic penalties. Mr. Castleberry?
Yes, the county passed an ordinance in 2004 which imposed this surcharge. Back then, the maximum amount was $15. That's what the ordinance provided for. There's been a fairly recent statutory change to make the maximum $30. The ordinance that's currently in place contemplated that there may be an increase, and there was language in there that said if it was increased, the ordinance shall be deemed to be automatically amended to authorize the maximum charge. It was brought to my attention recently. I read the ordinance. I asked Tabitha, who wrote that language. I wasn't really crazy about it, and she was kind enough to point out that it was I that wrote it. So I read it again. I liked it a little better, but still, I think it would probably work, but I don't really like saying something's automatically amended. So what we've really done is just say it's going to be the maximum amount set by statute, which, by the way, is currently $30, and in the event that changes in the future, the ordinance shall be interpreted to authorize whatever the maximum amount. So it should work. If they change again in the future, there'll probably be another attorney advising y'all. He might want to change it again, but it's a very minor change. I know that the funds are used to fund state court facilities. Mr. Smith can probably explain a little better than I what they're used for, but that's it. We're just recognizing the statute change to $30 and updating our ordinance to reflect that.
Mr. Chairman?
All right. Commissioner Rawls?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
It's public hearing.
All right. Mr. Smith, did you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The funds that are collected are used in various aspects of the court system. I believe this is the fund that also, a portion of that funds the drug court program and some other, what they call non-traditional court operations that the state does not fund. But I do want to also speak to the issue of an increase in a non-criminal civil traffic citation amount. Because I'm the guy that's charged with trying to collect these funds when they are not paid just in the normal course of business. Typically, folks have 90 days in which to pay a traffic citation. Once that date is met and they have not paid it, then I'm required by statutes to enact some collection efforts. So we try to collect internally in our office. Then we also, if that's unsuccessful, we use the services of a statewide collection service that goes out and knows how to skip trace and do all these ways to find folks and get a message to them. The reason I bring this up is because we have a standard set by the state of what our collection rate should be on civil traffic citations. Several years ago, the courts opted to not put people on probation for these and to send them through the probation process and convert these fines to civil liens. And when they did that, our collection rate dropped below the standard. And we have not been able to find a way to get that collection rate back up above what the standard is that's set by the state. And so when we add additional dollars to the civil traffic amount, it's just going to be harder for folks to pay, and it's going to be harder for us to collect. I'm not speaking against changing this, because I do know that those additional dollars that are collected go to good uses, but it's just a reality out there. And so what happens to a lot of folks, and the legislature's been having conversations about this over the past couple of years, is that it ends up with an unintended consequence of people driving without a driver's license, because if they fail to pay their traffic citation, their driver's license is suspended. It's called a D6, what they call it in the industry. And so it gets to be a hole that gets dug that they can't get out of. And so the legislature is trying to dial back a little bit on the imposition of additional fees, cost, collection cost, because when we turn it over to a collection agency, an additional 40% gets added to the amount that is expected to be paid, and that's how the collection folks get paid. But that's normal collection process. But a simple $150 or $180 civil traffic citation can quickly morph into $300 or $400. And so if they couldn't pay $180, they definitely can't pay the $300, but they still got to go to work. So it's sometimes it's a circle that folks can't get out of. I'm only telling you this to know that there are other consequences to any of these changes that are made. But the reality is that it will impact some folks. It's only $15 more. We say only 15, but to some folks that's, putting food on the table for kids that day or not. So those are the current realities of what we do in the court system to try to collect these, and we continue to make those efforts, but we have not been successful over the past few years of meeting that standard that's set statewide. They don't take into account demographics of a county like ours, which is a lower income, less resources. So we just continue to fight those battles. But that's part of any of these adjustments in fine amounts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of council or Mr. Smith?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Turner?
I know that you don't want to speak against this, obviously, Tim, but trying to get better at being politically correct, and I'm not very good at it, as you well know. So I'm gonna have to be a little blunt. I know that this money would be real nice. It's always nice to have extra dollars, but is it necessary for you to run the existing systems that you already have for us to double this fee today?
Well, I think it's statutorily authorized, And so I'm not speaking to not do it. I'm just trying to let everyone know that it makes some impact to some folks, but we'll deal with those. The good thing is, one of the options that we have that sometimes folks aren't aware of is we can allow folks to be on a payment plan. And so that allows them just to pay a little bit monthly, so it's not like they can't make their way out of it. It's just they don't take advantage of that. So I'm supporting that you would amend the ordinance to reflect what currently is allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Commissioner Rawls?
Basically, to what Mr. Turner was alluding to, is this is about personal accountability. We are in a fiscally constrained county, and this is a user fee. So it's you choose by your actions whether or not you want to participate in this. I think it's fairly simple. And with the fact that they are allowed to make payments. And show in good faith that they're making efforts, I obviously would speak in favor of this.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll open up the public comment portion of this hearing. Any persons wishing to speak for or against this, please come forward and state your name. Okay. Okay. Seeing nobody, I'll close the public comment portion. And what's the pleasure of this board?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval to amend the ordinance as requested by staff.
Second.
We've got a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, ordinance passed. Okay, before we move on to public comment, I'd like to recognize a few people in the audience. Mr. Tom Townsend, former superintendent of Putnam County Schools, who looks like he's ready to tee off as soon as we get done with this meeting. Ms. Dana Jones, president of the Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to recognize Bradford County Commissioner, Mr. Chris Daugherty, and he would like to come up and make a comment. And Dana, I may ask you to come up after he's done. So, Mr. Chris, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Morning, Chris.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I just want to say a big thank you to the Putnam County Commissioners and also to the County Administrator, Terry Suggs. Living in a rural community, as we all know, you're faced with just what you were talking about. We're physically constrained, and we're always looking for ways that we can, help ourselves out with problems. And you guys have done an outstanding job with that at Rural County Days, April 17th in Tallahassee. Your efforts together, and by the way, folks, not one of them paid me to come up here to say any of this. I just want you to know that right up front. And the Miss Garrises and the Mr. Williams, and that's what makes our rural counties what they are. It's family. Sheriff Deloach, you can probably attest to that. Your men and women, when they go out, in a rural community, most of the time you're dealing with family or possibly somebody that you know, because we are rural. And the advocacy group that was here earlier, I don't see any of them here still, but what they do means so much more in a rural community than if you were in a larger community, because it has impacts on families that we all know and we all love. I just want to, again, thank y'all for everything that you did. I saw a comment on Facebook that said, all right, now y'all get back to work. But what people don't realize is how hard you all were working, not just serving over 900 meals, but at the same time being in front of our legislators and asking for those needs that all of our rural counties need. So I appreciate what you've done for your rural county and what you've done to represent all rural counties. And I will just leave you with this. When we talk about, I think Chairman Pickens mentioned something about wearing jeans. I've seen y'all in jeans and in shorts. Stick to the suits, okay? Y'all keep up the good work. And again, I had a workshop last night, ran about 3 hours. So I'm going to head out now. But again, thank y'all for everything. Appreciate y'all.
Chris,
Thank you very much, Chris.
Chris, real quick, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. I agree wholeheartedly, and I had a blast up there. I had no expectation of what to expect when we got up there, and I was flying completely blind. But at the end of the day, what I realized was that 4 hours flew by.
It did.
And then I had no idea what we were doing until somebody said we'd served over 900 people. So I think everybody on this commission, Mr. Suggs, everybody was involved in it, but mostly Crescent City Rotary, they just stepped up so much, and I think we did make a good impression up there.
Absolutely, and forgive me, I did leave out the Crescent City Rotary, and also your families that were there that helped. Commissioner Rawls, your son, he was serving, and Commissioner Goddard, your wife, documenting the whole time and the day, and putting stuff out there that we'll remember, hopefully forever.
Might be on
and,
Facebook.
And we look forward to next year.
Yeah.
And this was Bradford, Baker, Union, and Putnam counties. And the legislators that were there the evening when we honored Representative Payne that are from some of these other smaller communities, we hope they go back to their communities and say, hey, look, this is a rural effort. This is for rural Florida, and we have great needs in rural Florida. So anyway, again, thank you all for your service. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask Ms. Dana Jones to come forward, and while she's coming forward, what we're talking about is Bobby Payne with his efforts with Union County, Keystone Heights, Putnam County, Bradford, Baker, and with Terry Suggs also very instrumental. President Joe Pickens in the chamber, Commissioner Goddard, put together rural days in Tallahassee. And so we went up the evening of the 16th, I believe, and had a reception, and then also we took over the courtyard with different exhibits and stuff, and the Rotary Club of Crescent City, along with the fellow commissioners, cooked over 950 meals that we gave away. So Dana, if you want to comment on that.
Chris, thank you.
Certainly. Good morning, Dana Jones, Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. Happy Flo Garris Day. That was very nice this morning. I've seen her for many, many years doing a great job. Awesome recognition. I also came this morning prepared to talk and thank each of you, and please convey that thanks to your wives, and in Commissioner Rawls' case, his son, Sir Liam. If y'all missed the action, he was not only running meals, he was your greeter. And he did an awesome job between handshakes, fist bumps, you name it, he was doing it and greeting them on y'all's behalf while you were busy cooking those 950 fish dinners. I heard they were awesome. Probably like y'all, I wouldn't know. We didn't really get a chance to eat, and it was all out pretty quick. Very impressive, and I'm sure you've heard by now, it was a very successful first-time event. They are looking to do it next year. I do have some preliminary dates that I'd like to share with you this morning, just so you have an idea of what they have requested. We will not hear back the actual date probably for several months. But they have requested January 16th first, and they're going to have an early start to session next year, so that would be the first week. The second date is January 23rd, and then February 6th was their third choice. We are also having a wrap-up meeting and need your critique. Everyone who was there, if they could fill out one, I've got some with me that I will leave with Administrator Suggs. I have enough for you to take home, share with your wives who were there. We really need feedback so we can improve all the things that make it a better event. I really don't have a lot to say other than, Putnam County looked wonderful and y'all were the main event. I overheard some folks talking behind me, assuming y'all were a fine caterer. Y'all look so professional, and then I heard someone correct the gentleman and say, no, that's their commissioners. And the guy was like, all of them? Yeah, and that's their wives. And total disbelief. I mean, I understand and know y'all work hard every day. It wasn't surprising to me to see you all up there cooking. But to a lot of folks there, that was so impressive. And just on behalf of everybody in Putnam County, again, thank you so much for all you do for us.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Before you sit down, I want to thank a number of people. I wanted to do this before closing comments because usually the room's pretty empty. But I just want to thank the Chamber and your staff for all your dedication and the commitment to this event. And Julie Linton, she was right in there. And
Absolutely.
And Representative Payne, also Steve Overturf, Chairman of the Board, Wayne McLean. Wayne McLean gives so much through his business, through his personal life, he and Julie. And Terry Suggs, thank you. And for all you did. Quinn Romay And Ryan Simpson, thank you. They were there and were willing to lend a hand at any time. Well, they did. Cleanup was really bad, and so they really helped with that. Also, the Rotary Club of Crescent City, really we need to thank Kelvin Hare. Kelvin Hare really is the organizer of the Catfish Festival, and he put together all the food products for us, brought the cooker up there. But he and Marianne Braddock and Sue Chanley from the Rotary Club took their time, their own money to come up to do that. And Kelvin was even surprised how well it went over. So, and also Commissioner Rawls, I didn't know how it was going to go because we never had done that before. But let me tell you what, I want to thank my fellow commissioners for jumping on board. Commissioner Turner cooked, Commissioner Rawls cooked with Kelvin and myself, and Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Commissioner Goddard. They plated and served. And all our wives were helping the whole time. And for what, 2 or 3 hours? I mean, it was go, go, go. And it is neat that Jeff and Dawn bring Leon with them, and he was our little ambassador. But I want to thank the county commissioners, and I was proud to work with y'all as I am proud to serve with you. So that's what I have. And really a big thank you for Kelvin. And when we were cleaning up, Kelvin said, you know, this went better than I thought it was going to go. I said, it did to me too. He said, you think they're going to ask us to do it again? And I said, probably. So, anyway, so we'll get those dates. So anyway, thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you. And before I leave the podium, written in my terrible handwriting is where you can email your critique form. You can either email it to me or to Patricia Evans direct, if you can read the email, and it's slightly on the top of each one. And they are due by the 29th of April, because we'll be meeting shortly after. Thank you again for everything you did that day and everything you do every day for Putnam County.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
hang on.
Commissioner-
Don't-
Commissioner Turner?
When y'all set this thing up with all the different counties, who decides who does what? I mean,
Well,
is it more
Putnam
of a-
actually was a late arrival. Bradford and Keystone Heights were the beginning organizers of the Rural Counties Day. Then they invited Baker and Putnam to come after the planning started. So I believe Bradford was the lead. Like I said, we were kind of late into the fray, but we certainly did a great job.
I know that Commissioner Pickens recognized Kelvin, but I think that we also need to recognize the fact that that Kelvin and them came up there on their own money, and they came up there. I don't know if they got enough money to cover the expenses. I'm not talking about the rooms and gas and that. I'm talking about the actual cost of the food and the stuff. And I, as a commissioner, would like to see if there's a gap in there that the Rotary Club of Crescent City does not get caught paying that gap.
We are going to take care of all of the cost of all of the fish, supplies, materials, thanks to the generosity of our sponsors.
Okay. So you don't think they'll be put out any money for the Crescent City Rotary Club?
No, sir. I have been working with Commissioner Pickens on that to ensure that nothing is taken out of Crescent City Rotary Club, because you're right, they all personally already invested enough in the time and money to come
Beyond
stay.
the Call of Duty.
Absolutely. But we also had numerous sponsors, and I did not bring that list with me today, but the funds that we have from that will go back to the Crescent City Rotary Club.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Turner, that was addressed. As a matter of fact, Kelvin was suggested to use some of the leftover grease and breading from the Catfish Festival. And I said, no. Dana was very adamant that there was enough money to pay for all of it. So they're going to reimburse
I
it.
just wanted to be sure, obviously, we can't talk about that kind of stuff outside of this room. So
Exactly.
I wasn't aware of that, so.
So
I'm
I
good.
presented
That's
her a
good
bill
to hear.
yesterday.
Yes, I have received the bill. One well worth the money. Thank y'all again, y'all's time and effort.
Well, thank you, and, you know, I just think that next year Larry Harvey ought to cook Boston butts for pulled pork. He can
Yep.
go up there and rotate them in that machine and instead of us getting knee-deep in grease for 4 hours.
Well, just so you know, I've heard the idea of
In
floating
addition
around
to-
to do fish on one side and pulled pork on the other side
There
of the
we go.
courtyard
There
to
we
keep
go.
people everywhere. So I don't think you're going to be off the hook there, sir.
I don't think so.
Commissioner Harvey, do you have a comment?
Yes, Chairman, thank you so much. Dana, I do want to thank you and your staff. I got there early that morning. Well, first of all, let me say the Facebook comment about being up there, now it's time to get back to work. I had never been so tired. Mr. Suggs and I were about to fall asleep driving home Thursday morning, just wore out. And when you ever leave town, even the sheriff will tell you, as you well know, we're busy. We're promoting Putnam County till late hours of night, early in the morning, from the time we get up. And I just want to share something with you. We get up there, Mr. Suggs and I, we're running late leaving here. We had a meeting up there with the state forestry director, to help save Putnam County some money and some obligation.
Absolutely.
So we're on the phone, we'll be there in a few minutes, we'll be there. So we finally meet with him, and that's the first, we no more jumped out of the car. I forgot to put money in the toll thing there that we don't have these here in Putnam County, the meters, right? I forgot, we ran to the meeting, like, oh my God, the car's gonna be towed away or something, so we did that. And then we go right to the reception, and then we got things going on afterward. Get up early that morning, unload the car. And we work tirelessly, and you're right. And I want to give credit to Bob Sender back there in the back. Bob, raise your hand, our IT director. I had a meeting at 3 o'clock. I run from our venue full of grease and coleslaw to the motel room, take a bath, put on clothes, to go back and meet with the Commissioner of Agriculture's office about the digital divide. Thank God Bob had a lot more sense to know what he was talking about than I did, because I was like, here's everybody, introduce yourself. But we got a lot of things done, and we're working up there, and we worked up there till late in the evening that night. It's a lot of work when we go out and promote Putnam County. But I want to say this. When I first heard of our chairman wanting to cook fish, you saw me in that meeting. I liked to, what? But have you lost your mind? But he didn't. He really didn't. And we all gathered around him with the Crescent City Rotary, and I tell you what, we really produced because we worked together, and we are going to work together to promote Putnam County to anybody that'll give us time to listen to us. And I want to give a shout out while we're here, Mr. Chairman, just one more second. If you've never seen somebody fill up 950 containers of coleslaw, Commissioner Goddard, one man could keep up with both of us at one time. I tell you, it was phenomenal. We're going to enter him into coleslaw wrestling somewhere, because he's our man. He's our guy, But he really did a fabulous, we all did.
Great
And
catering team, for
it
sure.
was, and it was, but with your leadership and just looking into that area, Putnam County was well represented. People knew who we were. We delivered a good product in a timely fashion, and people knew Putnam County at the end of the day. So, Mr. Chairman, under your vision, I want to say thank you for that. Again, I thought you were a little bit off your rocker there, but you proved me wrong. Next year I will be, in addition to cooking fish.
It's the rumor I hear.
We will be doing something different, I hope.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Chairman,
thank
Okay,
you.
Commissioner Rawls?
This is just from a pure outsider's perspective, because I didn't know the backstory until this morning. I would have thought that we were the lead.
Yeah.
From what I saw there.
Yeah.
It looked like we were I'm not going to say anything that I shouldn't right now, but it looked like Putnam County was extremely well represented, and that we were the ones that started this effort. That was what I thought, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Good. Okay, Commissioner Goddard?
Yeah, well, because I was there in the very beginning, I did want to get this thing rolling, and once it got rolling, you weren't stopping it. People kept coming on board, and just like we were discussing amongst all the counties, how we would do this. This one would do this, and this one would do this. And Chairman said, hey, why don't we just do what we're real good at? We're going to do this fish fry, and we'll provide all this, and you provide the other items. And they were okay with that. So we didn't actually start out to take the lead. but we somehow fell into
Like we
that
stole
place.
it.
But with that, with all the work, and it was a lot of work, but it was fun work. Normally, we are up here and we're making decisions that no matter how they go, this group's going to be upset, this one's going to be happy. That's just the way our job is. But we had a blast. We were working, but I had an enjoyable time. Yeah, my arm was sore, but there was no slowing down. You had two lines running, and I happened to be the one that got stuck in the middle. It was a blast. And then my wife, who loves photography, she was there to help in any way possible. And they said, well, Shondell, would you mind taking pictures? And I'm telling you, that put that woman in her element. I'm not sure. I believe she took 900 pictures, I believe. And she spent when we got finished, she spent that rest of that time going through these pictures, cropping them, and getting them posted as quickly as she could so the newspaper had some pictures. Everyone could get their picture. So if you haven't been on there, go to Shondale Goddard, her Facebook. She loves the Facebook. She loves the pictures. But we were all tired, but it was a fun tired. It was an enjoyable, it was just a very enjoyable time, and those people thoroughly enjoyed seeing Rural County Days.
Absolutely. It's well received, and again, thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Item number 6. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are available at the entrance and the exit of our building. Please fill those out and present them to Sarah over to the left, your right. And when you come to the podium, please speak clearly into the microphone and state your name and address. So the first speaker is is this Lynn Robertson? Yes, sir. Okay, please come forward.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
Good morning.
I'm a very happy person because I came home to North Florida. In fact, my grandmother and great-grandmother used to ride the steamboat here in Palatka. When I moved, though, I noticed that on Krill and 9th, there was an extreme amount of traffic. I would count 9 trucks every 5 minutes. These trucks can be 150 feet long. The tankers can be 10,000 gallons. I learned that there was a Palatka city ordinance made in 2003, and it prohibited trucks of this nature and rerouted them to 119. Hadn't been enforced. So I did 2 things. I started a 300-word petition with the help of Kathleen Story and Chris of Sheer Transformation. And then I asked the DOT to do a traffic survey. Last May, they reported that 9,900 vehicles traveled that 2-lane road, Grill and South 9th. This is a lot of traffic, and it's only going to get to be more as population increases in the area. Now, I talked to Mr. Browning, who said that the city and the county should get together, reroute State Road 20 to 119, and that would take care of the signage. There need to be many no-through truck signs and the GPS, and making enforcement a great deal easier for everyone. Whether that happens or not, whether we build a traffic circle at that corner, which I think would be a dandy idea, I'm just one person. But the 300 signature petition is, I want to thank the Palatka Daily News for their support in printing my letters and doing articles. They've been great. I'd also like to thank Mr. Tate Miller of Grand Gables Inn for his encouragement throughout this process. I met a lot of nice people. All of them were quite serious about their wish to be protected from these vehicles. Their children can't play in the front yards. They're kept awake all night. Their babies cry. This is not a good thing for a vibrant community because the trucks impact your life, your health, your safety, your property values. I want to quickly read the names of some of the representatives of the businesses that signed this petition. Barkin Lot, Reynolds Smith and Hill, Four Seas Construction, Putnam Bike, Sheer Transformation, Taco Gringo, Lori's Restaurant, High Cotton, Physimed, Rips Cleaners, The Music Store, Tangle's Hair Salon, City Shipping, Grand Gables Inn, Bartram Inn, and the Welcome Center. Some of the organizations were One Putnam, Keep Putnam Beautiful, the South Historic District, the Putnam Historical Society, the Women's Club, the VFW, and the Unitarian Church. I think action is important now because it's a teachable moment. Right now, my street, South 9th, has been closed since September. Whoopee, I love it, because there are no trucks. I think it would be easier to institute the change of habit now because there are far fewer vehicles. There are about 4 trucks every 5 minutes now during peak periods. South 9th is probably going to be closed for a good while, and I hope they stay for my lifetime because they've been the construction people have been very nice, and it is nice to have no traffic.
Okay, Ms.
But
Lynn,
there
Ms.
will
Lynn,
be traffic.
Ms. Lynn, could you wrap it up?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I implore your understanding and help in solving this problem that impacts not only the city of Palatka, Putnam County, but little kids that want to play in their front yard. Thank you again for your patience and kindness.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Harvey?
Ms. Lynn, Ms. Lynn, have you been in touch with Representative Payne? A few weeks ago, we had another person standing here. Representative Payne is working on exactly what you and Mr. Browning talked about, and that would really help out a lot. But I don't want to put words in Representative Payne's mouth. He can explain that to you, but give his office a call, and I think you'll be very pleased of what you hear, okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next speaker, Mr. Douglas Hayes.
Mr. Chairman, should she turn in that position that she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the public record. Thank you for your reminders.
Hi, my name's Douglas Hayes. I live at 216 Hilltop Road, Satsuma. Running for County Commissioner District 3, no party affiliation. Thought I would present to you an idea and a resolution for the young lady that just spoke. Is the Federal Department of Transportation has innovation grants. One of the grants that might be available is in regards to a broadcast system that's currently being utilized by the trucking industry to where they know the truck routes. So that may be able to educate our truckers. Before you hit me with the timer, which you already did, I would like to mention that the Fish and Wildlife Commission, the grant rotation is beginning, and we've already missed the first grant if we all agree that our boat ramps are in disrepair. As of April 12th, there was a grant, it was a competitive grant that was available for the repairs of our boat ramps for recreational boating. The rotation for the grant to do a one-time dredging for the Bargeport area will be coming up soon. So be forewarned to try to file for that grant. I realize that we're trying to get appropriations through the congressman, but if we can hit it at both ends and get it accomplished, it might be a good idea. Next thing is, I have discovered Hill's Science Diet, it's a dog food company, has a Hill's Food Shelter Love program where they do free dog food provision for shelters. And now there are strings attached, but we may consider utilizing that program to help us feed our critters. The other thing is AmeriCorps, which has a fingerprint in our county. I suggest that we take a look at their grant cycles. Right now, there's nothing to our availability, but it would be able to utilize for storm repair. The next thing is that in the marketing of Putnam County, which I spoke to you in the past, is one of the key things is to have something to offer, know your target audience, have a brand, and advertise. When you look at the Putnam County website, first off, that is our corridor to the traveler. It's not mobile ready. And so, and it's not, a lot of it has to do with some flashing lights, horns, and whistles, but if you're got a poor signal or slow data speed like I do, it chokes. It takes 3 times to even get to download. The next thing is our slogan, come see all the beauty Putnam County has to offer. It's a nice slogan, but I'd like to offer a suggestion, rural living at its finest. Thank you very much. God bless, and see you next time when I can get here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Okay. Any other further public comment? Any persons wishing to speak? Okay. Sheriff DeLoach?
Did you fill out one of them blue cards?
Good morning. Yeah, no, but I'll be happy to. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize exemplary service the Sheriff's Office was recently provided by our Animal Control Services Unit and by our Public Works Division. Recently, as everyone is aware, we dismantled a large cockfighting ring off of Letty Lane in the Stokes Landing area. And had it not been for the exemplary cooperation that we received from Animal Services, we would never have been able to bring that investigation to a closure and to a successful completion. So I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to them, and also to Mr. Press Tompkins, our Public Works Director, and all of his staff, who recently came out on a search warrant and helped us investigate a chop shop that is still under investigation. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but I can tell you that there was a substantial amount of excavation that had to be done during this initial phase of the investigation, and they were instrumental in helping us. So I want to again extend a sincere, heartfelt thanks to them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Press and Lisa, thank you so much for all you do. And Sheriff, thank you. It was an eventful weekend that weekend, wasn't it? So, okay, we'll close the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move down to item number 7, our consent agenda. And I'd like to make sure everybody received the addendum 7E. There are 2 additional derelict vessels that we're going to apply for a grant for. So that's an addition. Are there any items any of the commissioners wishing to pull? I'll start with Commissioner Harvey.
I have none, sir.
Commissioner Turner.
I have none.
Commissioner Rawls.
Item H.
Item H.
Yes.
And Commissioner Goddard.
That's an E.
Okay.
What number was that, Mr. Chairman?
Item E, Commissioner Goddard. Okay, we'll pull item G and item H. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda. Item A, B, C, F, G, I, J, K, I believe.
Thank you.
And D.
And D.
And D, excuse me, I'm sorry, and D.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Turner,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rawls. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll move to item G, Commissioner Goddard.
E.
Excuse me, E.
E, yeah, Angie, if you don't mind. I know that you have been trying to locate the owners. I just wanted you to explain how we've tried to do this, and it's been just a difficult process.
Yes, sir. We do not try to locate owners. We merely act upon what law enforcement has already done. They've completed their investigation. So, for example, we received notification from the Florida Wildlife Commission, and then after we received the additional two that Commissioner Pickens noticed, then we added those to the particular agenda. But we do not reach out to those individuals. We rely solely on law enforcement for them to go through their particular processes, and it is a rather lengthy process that they go through.
Yeah, I should have reiterated that you don't go out looking for this, but you turn over all the information, and we try to locate the owners to have them pay for the removal of their vessels, and that's
Law enforcement does, yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's basically it. I'd had that question to me of why don't we have the owners take that? Well, we would love that.
Yeah, once they're determined to be derelict, there is no owner anymore.
Right, and it just poses a problem for us, and unfortunately, all counties, not just our county, any county that has a waterway, it's just one of those problems that we have to deal with.
It is a statewide program, the grant application is.
Yes, and that's a big help, is the grant program that helps us to get rid of these vessels.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, Commissioner Rawls.
I just, in one of the cases, I think it's boats, the owner passed away and testate, and so it was tied up for several months trying to figure out who the rightful owner was. But I am happy to see this, this clear my email box up a little bit.
Exactly. And, as Angie, you see the picture of the boat we discussed yesterday, it's a ship, it's 53 feet long, 55 feet long, and it's been behind Hog Island since Hurricane Irma, I believe.
Wow.
So anyway, okay. All right, item E, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, this is just one quick comment. This is actually where we're just asking for a grant to go out and get it, and then if we get the grant, we'll have to pitch in 13.9 for our portion of it. So it's basically a grant that we're asking for. That's what it is today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass for our 7E.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Turner.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Goddard. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item E passes. Okay, item H, Commissioner Rawls.
I had some questions and concerns. We've got a grant for $25,000 that has about a 40% design fee with it. You're spending almost $9,500 for professional design services, and only is $15,000 for procurement and installation. And I'm just wondering if there's an explanation as to why our costs are so high. I realize it's a small grant at $25,000, but the products that are being installed are not specific to this building. They're something that's readily available. They're roll down hurricane shutters, and I'm just perplexed as to why we'd spend upwards of $10,000 out of $25,000 for these few drawings that we got. That was it. I want to see the windows and doors protected, obviously, but I just think that spending that much money off the grant, we maybe could have done some more with that.
Okay, Commissioner Turner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Ever since I've been here, I've certainly shared Commissioner Rawls' frustration over how the government has to do business. It's frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
And there's certain things that yes, I think that we actually talked about this in December, I think it was, when we signed this last time. And basically there's a certain amount of of engineering, there's a certain amount of whatever. If it was my building or your building, you betcha we could jump right out there and just put it in there. But we don't have the right letters behind our name to make it work. We've got to hire professionals, design professionals, you betcha. It's frustrating to me just like it is with you. But in this situation, we didn't have an option not to get it designed professionally. And so it's not just a matter of the architect. I'm sure they had to hire design engineers too to do the wind loads, I'm assuming. And so anyhow, you know, I don't need a rundown on the project if that's why you're bringing it up here. This is the same project we talked about in, I think it was December, and we had the exact same conversation in December we're having now. Commissioner Rawls don't like it, and I don't like it either. I just don't know how to get around it.
If I could,
Yeah.
I would like to see this county start moving towards having a conversation that would allow us to not spend so much money. In this case, you have a product that has specifications. It has to meet certain specifications. So if you go online and you find that there's 10 manufacturers for these windstorm shutters that meet 150 mile or 200 mile an hour impact rating, they're already designed, they're already out there. The architect is taking literally their drawings and cut sheets and putting it into theirs, and you can tell just by the way the documents are produced. You've got one side profile that's actually skewed a little bit because it was cut and pasted in. So I do this for a living, and I've done performance spec work. So if we put it out and say hey, it must meet this specification, let the bidders come in, and then they have to meet our specifications. Yeah, we can have an architect that takes a look at it and says, I agree, this meets the performance spec, therefore it meets the intent, and we can hire this. We would get a lot more bang for our buck. That's all I'm saying. I'm not opposed to this. I'm saying
Again, this is almost word for word the conversation we had in December by you and I. Is that who do you want that works for the county to select what window or what design windows that you want to put in there?
I think we should
don't have anybody that has that has the
wherewithal.
There's not a design professional. So the first step with government procurement is to hire a design professional. Somebody to say, we want this type of window. It doesn't have to be, I don't think it was a single source window. I think it was just a certain type window that met a certain specification. But somebody's got to go do that design for us because we don't have anybody in the county unless you're saying that we should hire our own architect or our own engineer. That costs a whole lot more than.
That might very well be, but these aren't windows. These are actually shutters that go in front that bolt on the building.
Jeff,
So, yeah.
I know. Excuse me, Commissioner Rawl. I understand, but we still, doesn't matter if it's widgets or tires or whatever, somebody has got to pick that specification. If we don't have anybody that works for the county, then we're gonna have to hire a design professional to go out and pick that specification. I could do it, you could do it, but we're not supposed to do it as commissioners. That's not our job to get that far down into the weeds to start picking out what shutters they put on a building on the health department. That's way into the weeds.
No, I got
So-
it, but I'm just.
I agree. I agree with you.
I would like to see us come up with, I refuse to sit here and accept the fact that this is how we have to do it. So I think that there is a way that we can noodle through this eventually, work around the problem, and get to a solution that allows us to be a little more frugal with the money that's given us in the form of a grant, or when we're spending our own money. Because at the end of the day, once this money is given us, how we spend it is our business. I know that we have to comply with the grant, but I'm absolutely positive that there is another way that this could have been done and been a little more frugal with the money. Again, I'm not opposed to it. I'll be voting in favor of this, but I just wanted to get that out for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Julie, you want to make a comment at all?
There are no questions. We're good.
No? Okay. No, I think we're good.
No, I don't think the project itself was what was that question this morning. I think it was procurement,
This was just,
procurement procedures, and I'm very confident that we have followed ours to date. And we have, I think, that in the not too distant future, we need to start having another conversation about some of the possible changes that need to be made. I don't know really how you I really don't know how you bypass this one, because you got to have somebody that has the design ability to come in and pick the products. And so, but it would be a good discussion to have in workshop. I agree with Mr. Rawls. Anytime we can be more frugal with the public's money, the better off we are. So, Mr. Chairman, do you want to make that motion,
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner, or do you want me to?
Thank you, Julianne.
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
Okay, we've got a proper motion by Commissioner Rawls.
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Item H. Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Harvey?
Commissioner Pickens, point of order on something. Did you pull item G, or did we pass that? I thought I heard you say you were pulling G. E, okay.
It was E.
Thank you.
I had Goddard on there to mark that it was Goddard. And I had R for Rawls on H.
Okay.
And Chairman Pickens got confused and called it G.
I was just making sure we
Appreciate
passed
you-
item G, that's all I was.
Appreciate you keeping a watch on me.
Sarah, Debbie, do y'all have both of them?
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving down to agenda item 8, Mr. Tim Smith, Clerk of Courts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any items today.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any appointments by commissioners? I'll start with Commissioner Goddard.
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls.
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
I do, sir. I have, on the Fair Authority, I want to put on Scott Brahman. He will be taking over the District 4 appointment.
Okay, so we don't need to vote on that because it's a district appointment. Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Turner?
I have none today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I'd like to mention, I don't have an appointment. I was going to volunteer to take over the chairmanship of the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board. But having discusses with Ms. Maureen, who takes care of that from the Northeast Florida Regional Council, I cannot be the chairman because I'm on the board of Ride Solutions. And they said it would be a conflict for me to do so. So we can talk about this a little bit. I have a little more information about when they meet. It's once a quarter. And so I can discuss that during the the transportation meeting that we have later, if that's okay. But I was going to do, but I can't. So we'll move down to County Administrator.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick wrap up as far as staff is concerned. We had a great opportunity to go to Tallahassee, meet with do Rural Days. We've already discussed that today, but had an opportunity to meet with a couple of legislators late in the evening, which I think went really well. People think that you go to Tallahassee and the work is conducted from 8 to 5. I got a text message at 10:15 that they were still on the floor in the House, and when we were at the Capitol, and so it was just a good opportunity for all of us to go up there, and it was a great opportunity to talk about legislation and appropriations again. Just once again, I want to congratulate both Laura Parsons and Jay Tilton, our newest Putnam County family members. I believe we're going to have an update at the first workshop in May from Ms. Susan Franks, our finance lady from the Clerk of the Courts, is going to talk to us about our audit. And then the first meeting in June, we'll bring CRI in for them to do the presentation here to the Board of County Commissioners. And as on a personal note, I'd just like to take a moment to congratulate one of our interim county attorneys, Mr. Russ Castleberry, and his family. They welcomed their 5th grandchild into the family on April 15th, Mrs. Zoe Marie. And I got the phone call that afternoon and was absolutely surprised that I thought maybe I might have been the first call that day, but I don't believe I was. But I do want to take an opportunity to congratulate you, Russ, and your family on the new addition. So, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Administrator Suggs. Mr. Castleberry, would you like to make any comments? And thank you for being with us today.
Mother and daughter are doing fine, and fortunately, she looks like her mother rather than her grandfather. So. I have no other items, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner comments or requests? We'll start with Commissioner Goddard.
All right, yeah. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is what a fun time in Tallahassee. makes you really enjoy Putnam County. Thank goodness we don't live there. We just have to go up there and visit. I didn't get to do my normal ride around Putnam County because we've been so busy and being out of town, but I still encourage everyone to get out there and enjoy our town. I mean, Putnam County is so diverse and so enjoyable if you just get out there and you see it. I also I just can't say enough about our staff. When we get this stack, and this is our agenda, by the way, that's our agenda, and we were in Tallahassee. So fortunately, with my iPad, I can go through almost all of this, and I can bug our staff. But they're great. You call them up, you ask them a question, they either have the answer for you or they look it up and they get it back to you. So we don't have to spend hours up here at the podium trying to go through all this stuff. I just want to tell you, thank you, staff, for everything that you do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Rawls?
So I don't really have any particular order of this stuff that I've written down, but this weekend is Blueberry Festival. For anybody that's able to attend, it's be in Boswick. We're going to be having a large blueberry pancake breakfast for anybody that's interested. And I think they're going to start serving at 7 o'clock or so. So might want to come early. I was writing notes as we were going through the meeting, and I wrote budget at the top, and then under that I wrote all interim positions. And I'd like the commission to consider the interim positions that we have and maybe making those permanent. I've been very vocal about staff pay and what we're doing, and I think that we need to start showing loyalty to our employees by making them permanent full-time positions. If they've stepped up and they're filling an interim position and doing a good job, let's consider making them full-time permanent. And then the child abuse and domestic violence discussion we had this morning, there's a direct correlation to a struggling economy when we have people that are underemployed, unemployed, underpaid. It puts stressors on the family, and the correlation is that you end up with an increase in domestic violence and child abuse. I was doing a lot of work with Lee Conley House back in 2006 and 2007, and by 2009 I saw a significant shift. And in talking to the executive director at the time, she said that a lot of it had to do with the economy and the stressors that are involved. It leads to alcoholism and drug abuse, and so a lot of the problems that we have in the community, along with the domestic violence and child abuse, as we start to become more fully employed, better paid, I think we'll start seeing a reduction in that. Rodman Reservoir, I want to steal a little bit, just a tiny bit of your thunder. I had an absolutely great time this weekend with my family. We took our motorhome over and went camping and woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch 100-plus boats leaving out of Kenwood Ramp, and it was just absolutely incredible. The turnout, it was a great time. Had a tiny bit of rain in the middle, but had a really good time. I'll let Commissioner Harvey have the rest of his thunder. And then the last thing I wrote here is department heads and meetings. I personally feel like having all the department heads in the meetings is a waste of the taxpayers' money. We should have them out there at work, not in here. If we have questions, we can ask them directly, or we can ask Mr. Suggs, who can eventually get us the answer. But I think, looking around, that we've got all of our folks sitting back here that really should be out doing other things. So otherwise, I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Harvey, and I trust you will talk about the bass tournament.
I will, sir. Thank you.
So you keep him quiet.
Okay, I got the hint. I do want to say thank you to Animal Services and Lisa. They were out till 2:30 in the morning that night taking care of those chickens, and they work very hard for what they do, and I appreciate all the effort, and I know the commission does. Do want to remind everybody that today at 4:30 in Interlaken at the Community Center is the FDOT meeting about State Road 20. Please come and listen to their presentation. They do take suggestions there. It's not just a one-sided conversation, but this has been going on for years. I keep telling the story that Larry Pritchett voted for Sid Martin because Sid Martin promised a 4-lane, 20 from Gainesville to Palaca. And Larry Pritchett was in college at UF. Okay, so you talk about how slow government moves sometimes. We're finally starting to see the end result, and we really appreciate it. Before I get to Save Robin, I do want to thank James and Lynn at the landfill for stepping up and all the hard work you've done waiting on our new director to come in. If you haven't been to the landfill lately, they run a very good ship out there. There's a lot of improvements, commissioners, that need to be done. Mr. Suggs has a very good understanding of what he would like to see done, and I'm sure Mr. Tilton will be able to implement those changes. But to all the hardworking people, I spent a lot of time at the landfill the last 2 weeks. We're remodeling our floors in our house, and I've been out there quite often, and very, very bad conditions. Not very bad, but tiring conditions. But hey, if you want to see some eagles, go out there and make it a point to get up on top of the hill. You'll see all the eagles you want to see. Now I'm going to talk about Save Robin Bastrop. I do appreciate all the commissioners who participated. I know everyone here did. Some couldn't make it that day, and that was fine. Commissioner Rawls did spend the night out there and do security, rode around in the RTV with watching fireflies in the area. We had over 101 boats that were there, over 200 fishermen, and it was just a remarkable day to get out there on the reservoir and to enjoy the environment that has been created. Naturally, none of us would dig a ditch across Florida ever again. And in their wisdom years ago, they did that. And they did but the environment has bounced back. And it's a beautiful place. It's 21 billion gallons of fresh water that's cleaned through the reservoir process down into the spillway and back out through the Ocklawaha and into the St. Johns River. And then that river flows north. And that's what I think people miss the idea. It flows north out to the Atlantic Ocean. So, by the time it gets to Jacksonville, and I told this story, and I'll always tell it, Roger Weeder with Channel 12 came out there one day to do a story on it. And I said, Roger, I'll drink water out of the reservoir or the spillway right now if you promise to drink it off the Jacksonville landing. And he said, I can't drink that water up there. And I said, no, but we can. And that's what's different about that. It's not just about fishing. It's not just about boating. But people go out there to catch their meals out there. That's what they're there for. They're out there to relax, too. Commissioner Rawls, you saw a family out there with a little bonfire going late in the evening on a full moon night fishing. That's what this is about. It's our environment out there. And it's very important. So the bass tournament was a huge success. Commissioner Goddard was there and helped us pretty much all day, and we appreciate that. And I know Commissioner Turner and Commissioner Pickens had other things that day. Let me assure you, we can't be everywhere throughout this county. There is no way we can attend everything that goes on, but we all make a conservative effort to get there. And last but not least, I want to thank our administrator, Mr. Terry Suggs. There isn't a finer man that I know of that serves in government than him. He's attentive, he's understanding, and he wants to be a part of everything that goes on. There's times that in the last few days in Tallahassee, I said, hey, you've got a meeting to go to. You can go entertain this group. I'll take over and go here. And that's what we do. We work together as a team. And it's very, very good to have an open door policy that you have. We can come to you anytime. I haven't bugged you in 3 days, so aren't you happy about that? But
3 days?
3 days, I did. I left them alone.
You having withdrawals?
I was this morning. But please avail yourself of Mr. Suggs and the staff, because I tell you what, they don't want to mislead you. They want to give you the answers you want, that you need. The truth is the truth, and they really want to give that to you. So, Mr. Suggs, I appreciate you as our county administrator, and I want everyone to know how much I do appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am done.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Commissioner Turner?
Yes, I just wanted to make a quick statement about Krill Avenue. I know that some of the residents that want Krill Avenue, or trucks not on Krill Avenue. The city used to have some kind of a law, but Krill Avenue is a state highway that runs through the city. It's not gonna be up to the people sitting up here today to decide the fate of Krill Avenue where it runs through the city or with DOT. I know that DOT wants to turn Krill Avenue over to anybody else because it's fixing to need to be repaved again. So if they could run the truck route out around up 19 and across Reed Street like they want to do, then they could turn that other road over to anybody that'd take it, and it'd keep them from having to go in there and repave that road that already needs it. So, I just want everybody to understand that it's not quite as easy as just saying, okay, no more trucks. I don't think anybody really wants trucks on Krill Avenue, non-local trucks. Also, if anybody's been around the river, there's been a nasty algae bloom, I guess, and so I've had multiple calls. I've had a call from Congressman Yoho. I was contacted by Water Management this morning with some pictures and the status of where they are. They're out there. They've gone out and they've tested it. They're trying to figure out a solution to it. I think we need to keep in mind that it happened right after a big rain, which was last Thursday. I think that we need to, until we find out different, we need to look at the culprit as being the septic tanks that are close to the river, and we need to do everything in our power to try to get funding for sewer systems out in the areas up and down the river. I know that St. John's Water Management have given us two, one for the Elsie and the Pico Road, Elsie Drive and Pico Road, and also out in the Horse Landing area. They gave us some money to do that. They've also, I think we're going to get it funded, but I don't think we have yet, the sewer line that runs out to Buena Vista to that sewer plant out there, because every now and then we have an accident out there when things happen to that plant. So that's going to help us get it offline and get that sewer back too. And then that line that gets ran all the way out there is going to be instrumental in getting a lot of other properties off septic tanks onto a sewer system. So that being said, I hope if this shows up that it is more nutrients in the water is what fueled off this algae bloom. I hope everybody will join me in trying to contact the officials and trying to find money to get more septic tanks off of the septic system and onto our system, the county system. And I also would like to join Commissioner Rawls in telling everybody about the blueberry breakfast come Saturday. It's a pretty good time. They have a festival besides just a breakfast where you can go outside and walk around, and they've got booths and what have you. So it's a family event where you could come out and spend a little time and get some really good blueberry pancakes. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. Yeah, I'd like to also comment about the Blueberry Festival. It is a great event. You need to get there early. If not, you're going to be in a very long line, but they will serve you. I'm sorry that Holly and I are going to miss it for the first time in 3 years, but we'll be out of town. So anyway, I'd like to thank Colonel Joe Wells over there and Sheriff Deloach for just a great job that they're doing. All the different things that they have to take care of, let alone having to deal with, a rooster fighting ring is what I'll call it. But I just want to tell you, Lisa, some of the commissioners went to the U-turn event. I was honored to read the proclamation that we read the Tuesday before that Saturday. So I read it to a group. But when Holly and I, my wife, got there, Gator and Joe had been in another little incident, so they were recovering from that morning rush, I guess. But Gator came over and Joe came over to tell me what a good job that you and your staff did, assisting them that night, and you stayed until everything was taken care of. And I just want to thank you for that, and thank you for the job that you're doing. I do want to touch base on the rule days. We did speak about that and discuss it earlier. But I just want to say thank you for all the staff, all the people that attended, Administrator Suggs, and the job you did, because you were actually working, doing other things up there besides just that, and Commissioner Harvey. And it is true, Holly and I were probably the last two cleaning up after Quinn and Ryan Simpson. And so we went and started walking through the courtyard, and here comes Larry Harvey. He's already been to his room, showered, and was ready for a meeting that Bob Stender went with him. And I appreciate Bob's help and everything that he did when he was up there. But I want to comment and say that a number of comments to me, to Representative Payne, to Dana Jones at the Chamber, of how well the 5 commissioners worked together on that event, cooking. Everybody just fell in and took a job, and I just want to thank each and every one of y'all. I appreciate it. It couldn't have happened without y'all and without your wives. Larry, I know your wife could not attend, but if she could have, she'd have been right there.
Yeah.
I knew when Terry said that Laura was coming. Laura's a worker. I've known her a long time, and she jumped in and worked the whole time, and she's just had knee replacement just a few months ago. And Buddy, I knew when Shondale was coming, I knew that we had a worker, and she jumped in and helped for the whole 2 hours and took a number of pictures, and I appreciate that. And it was really special to have, Jeff and Dawn, his wife, there, and she did the same thing. She jumped in, also like my wife Holly, and just whatever they needed to do, they did it. And it was really special to have Liam there as a little ambassador, so we hope we can have him back next year. So I just think it was a great event for all the rural counties, and especially Putnam County, and we're on the map up there. We got noticed, trust me. And to thank the Rotary Club of Crescent City and Kelvin Hare for all their efforts. We have the Kiwanians Straight A Luncheon at 11:30 today at the Shrine Club. And we have a 2 o'clock transportation meeting. Are there any further business to come before this board?
Mr. Chairman, I was hoping that you would do it, and so I didn't want to step on your thunder.
Okay.
I was wondering if we couldn't come up with a award or a proclamation or something that we needed to do for the Crescent City people that came up there. They went way above what they needed to do. That was not a Rotary event. They didn't have to do it. And I think we should come up with something to present to them to show our thanks and appreciation for them coming up there.
Okay, I agree with you 100%. I did speak at the chamber meeting yesterday, and the Chamber of Commerce is going to get a letter from Chairman Overturf and staff. And also I spoke with Representative Payne yesterday, and he's going to also write a letter of thanks and then come down and address the club after session. And I see that Tabitha, there's probably already working on some type of proclamation as we speak, or Laura, right? So if we could get that together, I think it would be appropriate, and I'll invite them to a meeting where we can present it to them. Administrator Suggs?
Yes, sir. I hate to ask you if I could speak one more time, but I think it's appropriate, and I'm glad you mentioned Tabitha. I don't think I do this enough, and Tabitha's been pulling a lot of extra duty around here for quite a while, and it needs to be said publicly how much we appreciate everything that Tabitha does to support not only staff but the 5 commissioners, as well as the opportunity she's providing with Laura now to give Laura some background and some assistance in being able to do the things that need to get done to continue the process of serving the commissioners and the citizens of Putnam County. And so with your permission, I'd like to just publicly say, Tabitha, thank you so much for all that you have done and continue to do, and for the way that you do it, the professionalism that you show each and every day to all of us, and the amount of knowledge that you have is certainly something that I will always be appreciative of, and just want to make sure that you understand how much we appreciate all you've done.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming that we can set that up and get them to come up here, and maybe whoever's gonna accept it, I don't know if Kelvin would wanna do it, or Kelvin and the ladies, but it sure would be nice, that if they,
Or we could go to breakfast.
excuse me,
Or we could go to breakfast.
go to what?
Down to their breakfast
yeah.
meeting, so, okay. Okay, we'll get something written up, and I'll get with Kelvin and the Rotary Club and see what they would prefer, so, and thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, sir, no problem.
Okay, any further business to come before this board? We stand adjourned.